It's all of this and the dense conditions out there, but that selective airlines are not choosing to fly in and out of here.
We don't know what the overall picture is as far as air traffic in and out of Lindbergh. Only certain airlines have managed to notify us as to whether or not they are flying planes in and out of Lindbergh. I would guess at this point there's probably no air traffic coming in and out of Lindbergh, but I may stand corrected there. We do know that Southwest, no flights in or out. U.S. air flights have been diverted to Phoenix. So, and there again, that information came into us a few hours ago, and we haven't had an update since then. But I'm guessing there's probably little or no air traffic in or out of there.
Hard to know during a Santa Ana because the approach then is over the ocean instead of over the land. So
over the buildings, and they come so close to the buildings in San Diego. So
they changed the approach during a Santa Ana because the wind has shifted. So who knows exactly what? I'm sure it's somewhat chaotic down there. We want to let you know, if you're in the San Diego School District, if you were going to the Palomar, if you have some kids going to the Palomar camp tomorrow, the Palomar camp in the San Diego City Schools, that's canceled. Just go to school as planned right now. Now, that's a situation in flux, given all the effect of the residents in San Diego County of this fire. Who knows if we'll even have school tomorrow. At this point, we don't have that word yet. We don't have that word yet. We don't even know about the Monday Night Football game, the Chargers in Miami at 6 o'clock tomorrow night, but we'll let you know as soon as we know.
All right, we're going to go now to Valley Center for another update. What's happening out in Valley Center?
Well, we're out here at what's called the Paradise Valley, and we're with the incident commander, who's going to give us a size-up on what's going on out here. Can you tell us what's going on with the fire right now?
Fire is making an extreme rate of spread towards the west, and it's moving quite rapidly.
How dangerous has this fire been so far?
Extremely dangerous. It's burned 2 people to death. I had the misfortune to see it happen as far as one person, and saw one of the other people that got caught in the fire and died. Quite a few people got burned. Very, very rapidly moving fire and extremely dry fuel in Santa Ana conditions. We have 100 engine companies on the fire, and we are fighting for every single house. We've probably lost 60 to 70 houses. The fire's destroyed on this fire. These firefighters have been working for 6 days straight, 1 to 2 hours sleep. A lot of them haven't had much to eat even since yesterday, but we're going to stay in here and save every house we can. Fire's over 7,000 acres right now, and it's going to get considerably bigger. It's burned into the city of Escondido, and I'm in co-incident command with Chief Reed.
This is spread through such a wide distance. How are you able to keep around this fire or work this fire?
We aren't keeping around the fire. We're making no perimeter control at all. Every single company that I have right now is fighting to save a house.
What is the plan for the evening when the winds pick up? Are winds expected to pick up?
Well, the winds are blowing right now, and what the plan is to keep on structure protection. But I predict this fire has a real good chance of jumping Interstate 15 north of Escondido and south of Deer Springs, and possibly burning all the way into San Marcos and Vista if this keeps up.
How impacted are you by the firefighters that are not able to show up because they're fighting other fires? Is that a serious problem?
Well, I would like to have 300 engine companies on this fire, and I have less than 100 right now. Of course, it's a serious problem.
What should the residents in this area do at this time?
All the residents in this area that are in the path or think they're in the path of the fire, stay tuned to the sheriff's office, and if they're asked to evacuate, get their stuff ready and be ready to evacuate. Close up the windows in their house, secure their homes as much as possible, take their pets with them, get them lined out ahead of time, and get ready to go if they feel they're in the path of the fire. The fire is moving from east to west very rapidly.
You said to me earlier when I talked to you that this is one of the worst fires you've ever seen as far as the conditions are concerned. Is that true?
Well, this isn't the worst fire, but this is one of the toughest fires. This is the toughest fire I've had in 45 years of fighting fire. The Laguna fire was as bad. However, we didn't have the deaths and the amount of destruction early on with the structures. Later on we did, but not initially.
So we got to move your car. Okay, thank you very much for your time. I know you're really busy.
Okay.
Well, you've heard it from the incident commander how serious this situation is. It's very widespread. There are a number of homes that have burned, about 60 that they've counted so far. They've accounted for 2 deaths. So I'll go ahead and let it back to you. I can't hear you, so.
All right, we should point out that person who was doing the report very valiantly is a photographer here at Channel 8, one of the veteran photographers, Ron Espinoza. Dates back here probably 30 years. He doesn't like me to say that, but he's doing a very valiant job there. As now a reporter, we're all reporters in situations like this, and if you would like to call in and give us some information, if you know where some hot spots are burning that maybe we don't know about, we'd love to hear from you.
We're going to go down to Qualcomm Stadium now. Some of the people that have been asked to leave their homes have been told that they can go down to Qualcomm and find some shelter and some relief, and that's where our Beth Shelburne is right now. Beth, what's the latest?
Barbara Lee, more people are showing up here at Qualcomm Stadium, and the Red Cross and some of the other volunteer organizations wanted me to make sure that everyone knows this is a temporary emergency evacuation center. This is not a shelter right now. This is a temporary situation. They're monitoring the fire. If the fire does progress and people aren't able to go home for the night, then they will set up shelters somewhere else. But right here, it's kind of a nice story to see. Lots of volunteers have come together. Some food has been donated from all sorts of local restaurants. The Red Cross did want me to let everyone know that they need more food, more water. They need pet supplies. Lots of people have their pets down here. More than anything, though, people here want information, and we are told the San Diego police are working to get sort of an information center set up for the many, many people that are here just biding their time, wondering how their homes are doing, but they are safe here, enjoying some of the food. They have water, coffee provided by Starbucks, and really just sort of waiting together. Everyone, there's a nice calm atmosphere. I want to bring in now Paul Dillinger, who is one of the volunteer coordinators with the Red Cross. Paul, how long will this situation be available for people? I guess it depends on the fire and what happens with that.
It's a very flexible set of circumstances. We don't know what the fire is going to be doing, and the fire has already changed direction more than once. And so by later on tonight, we'll know whether or not people can return to their homes or whether shelter needs to be provided. And at that time, Red Cross will designate locations for people to go.
Okay, so for people that are watching at home, if they want to come down to Qualcomm, tell them what's available here for them.
Well, if they have been evacuated, then this is a safe place to come to. That's its primary purpose. Then in addition, the Red Cross is helping to coordinate the donations of companies and individuals who have donated water and food, and the community has really responded to help here.
Anything else that you want the public to know that you guys need? I had been told food, water, and pet supplies. Is there anything else?
I think that covers it pretty well, because we don't know what's going to happen over the next 6 or 12 hours. We don't know what the needs are going to be.
We appreciate you guys being here, Paul. Thanks so much for talking with us. Graham and Barbara Lee, I'm going to send it back to you right now. Again, people are continuing to come in. There's still plenty of room, and plenty more food and water is being donated. So this is a safe place for people to come in this temporary situation that is very stressful, but people are handling it very well, considering.
Small comfort, but a little bit maybe goes a long way in a situation like this. Thanks, Beth.
Thanks, Beth. I just want to give you a health update here. Kaiser Permanente is starting to see the ERs around here get really full. They're operating at code orange. A lot of phone calls coming in. Kaiser is sending staff and respiratory supplies down to Qualcomm Center to the evacuation places there. Masks, inhalers, first aid items. So if you can't get to a doctor, you're concerned about your respiratory system, having trouble breathing, you can go down there and get some relief as well.
And of course, a lot of this whole mess is predicated on the wind, and Sean is here now to tell us, has anything shifted at this point?
Well, you know, actually it has, and then unfortunately in the wrong direction. The wind advisory that was supposed to come down at 9 o'clock this evening has now been extended till tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it looks like this wind that we're seeing that we thought was starting to dissipate just a little bit and was going to continue to weaken over the next, say, 6 to 8 hours has not, and this advisory is going to be extended. Now what we've done is put together a map to give you a rough idea where the fires are burning around San Diego County. We've got the Valley Center fire, which is burning and is burning very much out of control, and the strong winds they're seeing up there. And we just heard from the firefighter that Ron Espinosa spoke to that they're fearing that it may hop the I-15 up in that corridor and then burn towards San Marcos. That area very much an open space, so once that fire gets rolling across the Valley Center, it will have a lot of problems. Then down into the Miramar area. Also, we have a fire now burning down in Chula Vista and Valley Center. So those are the 4 fires, and they show it very clearly here on the latest satellite view that we have from outer space. And you can see fires burning still very strongly up in the San Bernardino and Riverside County, and that is the problem was with us here. Most of our firefighters and that air support equipment up into that area, so now we're waiting to get those guys back down here to help us. Here's a look at the winds as they are right now, and look at the winds gusting in the Ramona area up to 26 miles per hour. Here in Mira Mesa, 25 miles per hour. 56 miles per hour down in the Campo area with sustained winds of 31 miles an hour, and they continue to see some very, very strong winds. Humidities remain very low. Campo at 6, 14% in El Cajon, 29 in the Miramar area, 23 in Claremont, 40 in Ramona because of that higher valley. And luckily, we're not seeing any fires developing up in the Julian area because they have had that huge beetle infestation. And I don't even want to think what might happen if this type of fire situation was to erupt up there with the winds that we're seeing and the sustained winds with the lower humidities. It could be absolutely devastating. So right now, things are burning out of control in Valley Center, up in the Ramona area, Miramar, as well as down in Chula Vista, and pockets of fires erupting all around that because of the winds picking up those embers and bringing them into areas that firefighters have no idea that a fire might be starting. So it's a very, very tricky situation. And one other thing, another sidebar
if that's not enough,
if that's not enough, once the rains come, Doppler radar, they're basically centered up in the Miramar area, 2 locations, both hit by fire damage. So we're waiting to see what that will bring. So when the rains do come, we're going to have trouble forecasting that.
Not only that, well, the barren land affected by the fire, there's going to be, you have a risk for mudslides, but that's way down the road. It's 3 o'clock right now in San Diego County, 3:02. And at 4 o'clock, more or less, we had said that possibly we could see somewhat of a respite from the wind. Is it looking that way? I know it's hard for you. I hate to pin you down now.
No.
But what do you think?
Well, like I said, we were thinking by 3 o'clock the advisories were going to come down. It looked like, as Matt Balo said, the winds at the mid-levels, at the 500 millibar level, we're starting to dissipate, and that's why we're seeing the smoke come down more to the surface, whereas when they're blowing smoke going up into the mid-levels, the wind was blowing it stronger offshore. Well, the winds have regenerated, and it looks like they will continue on into tomorrow. Therefore, a wind advisory has been extended through tomorrow at 3 p.m., so things don't look like they're going to be settling down as much as we had thought they would here in San Diego. So that is not good news for the firefighters and not good news for homeowners in the paths of these fires.
So really, if we were hoping for a shift in wind and suddenly blow in the westerly direction from the west back at what has already burned, it's not going to happen.
It does not appear that is the case, and it certainly wouldn't happen in any dramatic fashion, even if the fires were to come down.
Yeah.
And here's
These are
some
the latest
graphics.
numbers, yeah.
And look at this. We've got the Cedar fire at 100,000 acres. This is the Ramona and Scripps area. Valley Center at 3,000 acres. The Mine fire, 15,000 acres. And they're evacuating Kearney Mesa, which is, you and I spoke about this, the big fire back in 1970, the Mount Laguna fire, which burned all the way to the city streets of El Cajon. 10 dead from this fire, an undetermined number of injuries, obviously respiratory as well as other things taking place. At least 50 structures have been lost, and from what we're hearing, these numbers could go much, much higher. During the fire of 1970 that burned 180,000 acres, there was not nearly the type of development that we have here in San Diego now. The city of San Diego in 1970, you wouldn't even recognize it.
Right.
If you were to see it today. So that is why this fire is potentially much deadlier and it will definitely have a much higher value of home loss.
One would imagine we have better firefighting capabilities since then. Stick around, Sean. We're going to go back out to Heather Lucas. She's live in the Scripps Ranch area. She has not been the bearer of very good news in the past couple of reports we've had. What do you have, Heather?
Well, Graham, it's looking worse over here. A little while ago, we were showing you this red tile roof house that they were trying to save because the one next to it is it's gone. It burned to the ground, and they had a little bit of fire on this red tile roof a little while ago. They tried to stop it, but gosh, you can see it's like a scene out of Backdraft right now with the fire coming out of the garage, just eating away, and the windows are probably going to start to pop here in a second too. So this is again on Rue Chambéry. We're on the 10,300 block of Rue Chambéry. This home specifically, 10382 Rue Chambéry. The one right next to it, 10390, completely gone, as you can see. We were here when it was still a structure and there was still a shell to it, but now it's just a bunch of ash and rubble. So we probably now have about 7 homes on Rue Chambéry, 5 to 7 homes, I would say, that have been engulfed in flames. And the heat from this one is getting really intense. I think we're going to step back, actually. Scott wants to step back. I'm seeing the windows are probably going to start to pop a little bit. So not a good scene out here, Graham, as you can imagine.
Yeah, and, you know, Heather, feel free to kill that shot at any moment. We're going to bring Sean in. You want to back off, go ahead, Heather, and if Scott wants to back up too, feel free. Well, Sean was telling us how, you know, we always hear about tile roofs being okay in San Diego County.
Sure.
Well, what happens here?
Okay, now if Scott, if you could do us a favor, if we could get Scott to take this shot
they
again.
may want to get out of there, so go ahead and explain it.
If he can.
Yeah.
But what happens with the tile roofs is if Scott, you can shoot up under the tile roof there. You see now there's open soffits, and what a soffit is where the roof line comes off the roof, and then to keep the effect of the Spanish-style home, they leave the beams open there. Well, the soffit is that area right there, and what you would want to do in this case, and they didn't do it because they were going for the effect, is to enclose that with some fascia. Well, because that soffit was open, there was open beams right there, and the flames from the house next door were hot enough to let some ambers roll up under there, and you guys get on out of there because it looks like they're evacuating the area right now.
Yeah.
Then that fire then gets into the structure of the roof line and goes into the attic. And that's what happened in this case. Although the folks here had a tile roof, because the home next to them did not, it created that fire hazard. That heat from that fire leapt up under in the soffits there, the eaves along the house, and then ignited the attic. And once it's in the attic, it's almost impossible for these firefighters to put that out.
Car in a garage.
Adeline, can you hear me?
As we you know, it's understandable if we lose that shot. I believe that's photographer Scott Hall, who is a veteran here at Channel 8, knows when to get out.
Yes,
you
absolutely.
saw the firefighter standing there. It's not because they don't want to do anything. It's because basically, in that case, they can't. And what they're doing next door, one would presume, is structure protection, trying to save the next home.
They're trying to save the next home, do the best they can, because if they can control it from leaping from one house to the next, like this particular house, they couldn't. If they can slow it down enough there, they may be able to save the rest of the block in this case. So that's what they're really trying to do there. And
we want to let you know more or less where our reporters are. I believe Heather was still, of course, in Scripps Ranch area, in an area called Rue Chantamar, which that area has sustained a lot of damage. Our last count just in that region of Scripps Ranch alone was 99, but we can at least add one to that list. I want to let you know that the Jackie Robinson Family YMCA, it's located off the 805 at Imperial Avenue, is offering itself as the American Red Cross chapter is opened its doors there for shelter for families who are seeking some sort of relief in this fire. That area not affected by the fire, and we knock on wood, of course, that won't happen. Also want to let you know that it has been confirmed, I have it somewhere here, Congressman Duncan Hunter has confirmed that the White House is preparing a major disaster declaration for San Diego County, and President George Bush will be signing that by close of business tomorrow. Obviously, if it's not the worst, it's certainly one of the worst disasters ever in San Diego County. Heather Lucas, can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can, Graham. Scott is right up, as you can see, right up by the fire. He is a safe distance, though. He's not going any closer to it than the firefighters are right now. You're going to see one walk right in front of him, but gosh, these flames are so fierce shooting out of this garage right now, shooting right through that red tile roof. And I don't know if you can see from your vantage point from what Scott has, but there's a Miata sitting, I believe it's a Miata, right outside the garage that is on fire. And I think a lot of people were concerned that it might explode and that we'd have an even bigger problem on our hands. But it's just a mess out here. This house that we thought they'd be able to save because it just had a tinge of flames on it and they were getting water on it. And it seemed as if they were going to be able to do something, but, you know, the winds just whipped up and it was out of control.
Heather, Sean kind of explained how that happens. It's kind of a scary situation, a scary view for a lot of us San Diego County residents who have tile roofs and, hey, we think we're fine, but unless, as Sean explained it, that soffit area is sealed, no one is safe from flames like this, whether you have a shake shingle roof or a tile roof. And this is just, it makes you ill to see it, doesn't it?
It really does, because, you know, we've been on streets today that have just been absolutely leveled, Graham. Everywhere you look at a home is just flattened. And I think that they came down here to this street thinking that they'd be able to jump on a couple of these and save some of these homes. And they're doing a great job, and they have been able to save a bunch of them. But this one, you know, it just was out of their control again. So we saw them walking into the house. The homeowners evidently left their front doors open as if to help firefighters, knowing that they might need some help. And car alarms are going off right now. I think there may be another car on fire in that parking lot. We've actually got a total, I think, of 3 cars in that driveway, I should say. So something's starting to blow. So anyway, it's as you can imagine, it's a little bit dicey.
Yeah, Heather, get out of there. That's orders from Graham Ledger. All right?
And one of the things that are happening between these homes too is you may have noticed that people have the cedar fences separating the 2 homes, and you may have a fence that's close enough to your home but it's not got a fire retardant stain or paint on it, and if the fire is to leap from your home to that fence, needless to say, it will burn very rapidly and very hot, and in doing so make your neighbor's home very vulnerable. In this case, that's exactly what happened. The home that was next to this home was a shake shingle home. They were unable to control that fire, and in fact probably decided to let it go, and then that roof, that car exploded
we just saw I would presume the gas tank there.
Yeah, and we've got a couple other vehicles right next to this, so we really want to make sure safety is of the utmost urgency here, and keep our crew safe at all times.
And you know, if you've ever, not many people have been in front of a fire like this. I think, Sean, you have. I know I have. And the intensity of that heat is unbelievable. The right side of that truck you're looking at, that pickup truck, is going to be toast by the next time, if it doesn't catch fire itself. It's going to be basically down to the primer or down to the sheet metal.
Absolutely.
Because of the heat. It's going to be gone.
The heat probably at the foot of that driveway is somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 500 to 1,000 degrees. And as the house becomes fully engulfed, it will become even hotter than that. And that's why you see these firefighters keeping a clear distance. Yeah. One reason, obviously, for the potential of chemicals in those garages, and the fact that these flames will be leaping very quickly. Right now, safety is what they're after, and not trying to put this fire out.
All right. We're going to go to Andre Nakano in just a second, but I want to deliver some good news first in the midst of looking at this tragedy, the live pictures from Scripps Ranch right now. The fire burned 3,000 acres of brush on the east side of Miramar Marine Corps Air Station, but no structures were lost. And we have not had an update on that area. Of course, the Kearney Mesa area is filled with smoke. It's making it difficult for us to even breathe here in the studio at times. We want to find out more or less where the head of that fire is. We also want to give you an update, and we're working on this right now, of what happened in the Tierra Santa area. There was another head of the fire going that way. And, of course, it looked like that the fire was actually going to maybe go catty-corner across Kearney Mesa into Claremont Mesa. Yes. And we want to give you updates, and we're working on that right now. We're going to work on that and give you that. In fact, we have one reporter, Andrea Nakano, is in the Kearney Mesa area right now. Where are you, Andrea?
Graham, I'm about a mile from the station, and the fire has come up right here to Convoy Road and 52. Now, joining me is a firefighter. Tell me a little bit about this. Is on purpose. You've set this fire here.
Exactly. The reason why we set this fire is in order the fire, that way when it advances, it doesn't, this area right here is already cleared up, and it gives us a little upper hand over the fire.
Now, with these winds, do you ever get the concern that some of the embers are going to fly away and cause more danger?
That is our primary concern at this point. One of the reasons why we did this back burn is because there wasn't really much wind at the time. Now the wind is starting to pick up, and the fire is almost close to us, so hopefully, it doesn't go anywhere.
Has this, with the winds and the enormity of this fire, has it changed the way you normally fight a fire? Is this different than other fires that you've been on?
Yeah.
Can you tell us how different it is?
It's just the greater the wind, the more the greater the fire is. It's more, you don't know what's going to happen next, and if it's, in other words, if it's a little fire, you can predict what's going to happen.
And you're a federal firefighter, so you're not here locally.
Correct.
There's a lot of those resources. Do you ever feel like there just isn't enough firefighters out here?
Yeah. You know?
But you're trying to do the
But
best you
we're
can.
trying to do the best we can for a job like this.
Great. Well, thank you very much for
You're welcome.
joining me today. Now, I also want to tell you that the fire is north of 52 at this point, so it hasn't come down on the south side yet. The wind is carrying embers, though, and it has caused flare-ups in other areas just on the west side of 805. We just drove by that area, and firefighters seem to have a pretty good handle on that. And it's reached definitely into the landfill and the water treatment plant area there. So back to you, Graham.
Andrea, before we let you go there, I want you to repeat that. What did you say about the 805? It looks like they have a handle on it on the west side of the 805?
Yeah, there was a small flare-up on
Right.
the west side of 805 in a medium area right by the freeway. But firefighters definitely had a good handle on that, and so the
Okay.
Claremont neighborhood is safe at this point.
All right, well, that's definitely good news because it looked like possibly that the area of Claremont was affected by that, and Madison High School, that's right where the fire was, so that is really encouraging news as we get an update from that area. We're going to go now to Nicole. Nicole, where are you?
I'm in Lakeside.
You're in Lakeside. That's an area we have not reported on for a little while, but I have not heard good things from that region. What's going on from your vantage point?
Oh, well, I was up in Moose Valley is where I live, and we were woken up by a neighbor and by pounding on the door, and our whole property was already engulfed in flames. Me and my son and my boyfriend had no time to get out, and we didn't think we were going to get out with our lives. We ended up running into a wall of fire on the only exit. There was no evacuation. There was no warning. From smelling fire to the flames engulfing the mountain right towards our house. And we just managed to get down there. We got into Eucalyptus Hills to another friend's house, stayed there 20 minutes. Next thing you know, the fire's coming up that mountain, jumped 67, and we're heading out the back way again down into Vaughn's over on, what is it called, Woodside Avenue, where everybody from Moose Valley, Verona, Eucalyptus Hills was gathering with no information. Nobody had any idea what was going on.
Hey, Nicole, where are you now then? Are you at an evacuation?
I'm on Los Coaches at another friend's house.
Friend's house? It seems to be a safe area?
Oh, well, it's okay.
Who knows on a day like today, huh?
Yeah. And after that wall of fire, it does not feel safe.
Where exactly, could you repeat for me, where your ranch is and where the fire swooped down?
The house that I live in is at the top of Moose Valley up by Buena Vita, which is just up the hill from San Vicente Lake. And when we got to the only road that could go out, we turned around. We thought we were going to have to 4-by down the mountain the other side towards 67, towards the lake out that way.
All right. Lakeside, obviously, we don't have any numbers from Lake. I'm just going through my sheet right now. But Lakeside is one of the areas definitely affected by fire right now. We do have some, and Nicole, thank you for speaking with us, by the way, and you stay safe out there, all right?
All right, thanks.
And please call us back if you have any kind of update, and that goes for anybody else out there. Tierra Santa, I'd love to hear from somebody in the Tierra Santa area, or if you live in that area, maybe even evacuated.